So after Edie burns Susan's house down, when she finds out that Susan is back involved with Carl, Susan ends up getting a trailer because Edie says that she's pitiful, and the only reason why everyone in the neighborhood shows up to help her anytime she needs help is because she can't help herself. So she refuses Mike's extra room. By then, she decides that she doesn't want to be involved with Carl because he lied about breaking it off with Edie. But Carl sees Mike at the jeweler's buying a ring. Now, even though he makes fun of how small the diamond is, he's intimidated. So he decides to one-up Mike by buying Julie and Susan a house, a whole house. Of course, Julie wants to move into the house. It has a jacuzzi and a pool. Susan decides that she just wants what's best for her family, so she says yes at first, until she finds out that Mike was getting ready to propose. So she decides to stay in the RV. She sets up a romantic night, invites Mike over, hoping that he will propose, but on his way, Orson hits him with his car. Orson hit Mike with the car because before he was involved with Bree, he was involved with a woman named Monique. He was leaving his wife Alma to be with Monique, but his mother found out and she beat him to her house. His mother claimed there was an altercation and she hit the woman upside her head with Mike's wrench. The only reason why Mike was there was because he was getting ready to fix a pipe, but he realized that she needed a new part, so he left his toolbox there to go to the hardware store. When he got back, he walked into the house calling for Monique, but she didn't answer. He did, however, see Orson pop up from the other side of the counter with yellow gloves on. The only reason why Mike ends up meeting Orson again is because Susan is at the movie theaters and bears that she's by herself when Mike walks in with a date. Susan runs and sits next to somebody who's already at the theater, which is Orson. She pretends like he's her date. Mike goes for it. He sits with his date, and then Orson's date shows up. Later, Orson and Susan talk, and he offers to take her on a date. She says that she's in a messy situation, so she's not prepared to date. And the messy situation just so happened to be her and Carl, while Carl was still involved with Edie. But once Edie burns her house down, Orson comes to help. He's just a friend. Susan gets the idea to set Orson up with Bree, so Orson sticks around. So Orson is the dentist that Mike ends up going to. While Orson is checking Mike's teeth, he asks him if he'd been in prison before. Mike says, "Is it obvious?" He says, "Yes, I can tell prison dental work from a mile away." Mike says that he recognizes Orson from somewhere. Orson's like, "No, I doubt it, unless I did your work while I was a dentist in the prison." Now, it just so happens that the place where Mike said he recognized Orson from, Orson said that he had never been there. But Mike looks on the wall and he sees his certificate of having been to a school there. Either way, Orson denies it. Mike walks away from the situation. He's not even thinking about him. So while Mike is on his way to meet Susan that night to propose to her, Orson hits him with the car. Mike ends up in a coma. Mike's in a coma for 6 months before he wakes up. But when he wakes up, he doesn't remember a thing. Now, Edie is there when he wakes up, so she has this brilliant idea. I can pretend that I'm actually his girlfriend and Susan was a crazy person who was stalking him. Mike believes it. Now, he's a little apprehensive about it, but he has no other facts because Edie took and stashed away all the pictures of Susan and Mike that were in his house while he's at the hospital. So while Mike was in a coma, Ian's wife Jane was in a coma as well. She had been in a coma for a while. Susan and Ian met one another. They decided that they liked each other a whole lot, and there were some hiccups along the way, but ultimately they ended up together. So Susan wasn't there when Mike woke up because she was gone away to the country on a little vacay with Ian. Susan does try to get Mike to remember her and their relationship, but she's a little more than discouraged when she walks in on Edie riding Mike at the hospital.